Welcome to CRM Wars version 2024, where we're going to review all of the main and biggest real estate websites and CRMs. But anyways, let's get into it. kvCORE.
I don't even think we have to spend too much time on kvCORE. I wouldn't recommend spending too much time on kvCORE if I were an agent, so let's just power through the rankings here. Calling and texting, 2 out of 5. You can do it in this system, but it is not a system that has been specialized for this whatsoever. You're not going to get insights into your deliverability, and especially when it comes to texting in 2024 from CRMs or to online sources, having insight into that is paramount, not something that you're going to get a lot of support on from kvCORE, unfortunately. Drip campaigns and automations, they're pretty basic, another 2 out of 5. Do they work? Yes. Can you automate some things? Yes, but you are going to find that you are limited in a lot of different capacities. Website, it should be even, I have 1.5 out of 5. Maybe it should even be lower than that. I don't know. The websites haven't been updated in the 5 years that I have been working with them. So if that tells you anything about their investment in user interface and in developing their websites, it also shows in the results. kvCORE websites used to be really effective for Google PPC, but they have dropped off steadily and the lead cost is climbing for those websites. They just don't convert as well as the competitors and they don't get updated very often.
Yeah, to add to that, we used to have kvCORE on our maybe list that we would work with clients because we run a lot of Google ads, but these days it doesn't make the list. The way I would describe it is a jack of all trades. They've taken the strategy of getting in with brokerages and offering it to a ton of agents, so their margins are super slim. They're not making a lot per website, and they're just going after the masses. So I'm not a big fan of kvCORE these days. I agree with Haley. I think it's been, I haven't seen a lot of updates. It's very robust anyways. Does a lot of things just okay.
Just okay would be a better name.
We're going to give that a C. Or do you want a D, Haley?
I feel like if you were asking me even 12 months ago, I might have put a C, but just compared to some of the other options we're going to talk about today, let's throw it in the D column.
All right, we got to set the bar somewhere.
Pricing for kvCORE is not publicly listed, but whatever it is, it's too much. Don't light your money on fire.
Yeah, it says free as Canadian healthcare. You pay it through your taxes. You pay it through your brokerage fees. It's free for a lot of people, but yeah, it can be. I think it was like $2.99.
Somewhere in that range.
Moving on. Sierra Interactive.
Sierra Interactive on the calling and texting front, I would give it a B. If you'd asked me even 30 days ago, I would have said C or lower, but I'm very pleased to report that actually Sierra has prioritized making some updates to the opt-out language that they require on their texts, which for agents that are working with online leads now, you know that there's been a huge focus on opt-out language, appeasing the phone carriers so we can all get our text delivered to our leads. And some CRMs have taken a more aggressive approach with that than others. Sierra has dialed that back a little bit, but only in the interest of making sure that the most number of leads are responding to your messages. They actually have reduced some of the requirements they have on that, which is actually good news for agents. Overall, the only caveat is that depending on the lead volume that you're dealing with, you are going to get charged for your usage for calling and texting, which can lead to pricing on a sliding scale for this feature. Again, depending on just how many leads you're contacting every month.
And not all companies fall in this category, but Sierra is actively updating and upgrading their product.
It's true. They actually make an effort to develop not only the website, but the internal features. It's a feature-rich platform. On drip campaigns and automations, I would give it an A. There's not a lot that you can't do. I'd struggle to find something that you cannot. They give you a full suite of automation options. You can automate based on website behaviors, on tags, on stages, the entire gamut. So definitely an A in that category.
Yeah, and you guys will find out as we go through this, but not every company on this list is actively improving their product. And part of the reason for this is a lot of these companies get acquired and they stop investing in product development. Not all of them, but some of them. And I think Sierra is one that we've seen actively improving their product, which is always a good sign to sign up with a company that's always improving their product, like Agent Launch. But anyways, keep going.
It's all checks and balances as well. On the website front, the letter grade that I would give these websites is if you are an agent looking for a website tomorrow, then I'd give it a B. But if you're an agent that doesn't mind waiting up to 4 to 6 weeks for your website to be ready, these websites have a lot more to them than a lot of actually the providers we're going to talk about today. If SEO and organic search ranking is a priority for you, then this is a website provider that you'll want to align with. Their setup process takes longer because they do more. However, if you're impatient, you've been forewarned.
All right, so what are we giving Sierra?
We're actually giving Sierra our first A. Very exciting, going to the top spot. We work with Sierra. We love working with Sierra Interactive. It is an option that we recommend. Again, you've been forewarned. This is not the fast option. Just because it's not the fast option doesn't mean it's not great.
Yeah, Sierra's been nice to work with. It's just that waiting time. Support's been good. Overall, it's a good product, good company. They get an A. And if you're wondering what S is, it means super, which is very rare and hard to achieve. So we don't know if anyone's going to hit that spot, but you'll have to watch the rest of the video. All right, and before we move on to CINC, how about pricing for Sierra?
Pricing on Sierra is going to start at $499.95 per month. They do have another package that is $799.95 per month, and there's obviously varying degrees of what you get essentially in the website between those two. That makes it, I would say, the mid-range of the options that we're going to talk about today.
Got to get that 95 cents. All right, moving into CINC here. CINC is a bit of a different beast because they do include some advertising and are a little on the pricier side, but let's go into the software itself. I know that Craig Proctor had something to do with building CINC before it's sold, and I know that it is a pretty good software. They just have a bit of a different model as far as how they operate.
They do have a bit of a different model in terms of how they operate, which is that all of their packages do include leads that are given to you. If you've already gone down the rabbit hole of some of the reviews of this platform, then you've seen what we hear from agents a lot, which is that because you don't know where those leads are coming from, it can be difficult to work them, and also just be hard to assess the quality. You don't understand the origin of the lead, and that is something you are going to get a explanation about from CINC, but you're not going to get detailed overview. You're not going to be able to see the actual ads or where the leads were generated. So that's just a level of visibility that you don't get with this particular provider.
Yeah, and I think most of these companies is along a similar line in the sense that, you know, we try to be the antithesis of that. Usually they have marketing as an upsell, and it's usually done at a very basic level. And there's not much else they can do when you're paying, you know, a couple $100 a month for it. Operationally, there's not a whole lot more they can do than kind of a very duplicatable strategy. And so that's pretty much a theme with all these companies. It's just CINC forces you to do it, if you will. Whereas other companies have it as like an optional add-on to just layer in some Google or Facebook type of ads. But the feedback we generally get from people is it's a little bit surface level and you can't really go deep because, again, you're not really working with a more customizable solution where you have insight into what's actually going on.
Exactly. You're not working with a customizable solution. You don't own the ads or the assets that are feeding that traffic to you. Transparently, the goal here is, of course, to get you hooked on the lead drip that CINC is providing. But if you want to scale, then this raises some questions because it's only going to get more expensive to buy those leads as you do scale. As far as the calling and texting, the drip campaigns and automations, I'd give them a C. There's not great feedback as far as the templated options that are available to you through CINC, so you will find that you're doing a lot of that yourself. Of course, they provide these leads. They have built-in drips, but the feedback on them is not superb.
All right, so what are we giving CINC?
At a pricey $1,000 a month to start, not owning the assets, an okay website, some okay features, it's grotesquely overpriced, and to me, it's a D.
All right, CINC gets a D. All right, moving on to the next on this list and a new contender for 2024, which is Lofty, formerly known as Chime, not to be confused with Chime. I mean, there's a bunch of Chimes out there. I think that's why they rebranded to Lofty, but I digress.
The best part of Lofty, without a doubt, and where it gets the highest points in our ranking is the website. Undeniably one of the best out-of-the-box options. It's really, really modern aesthetically, and it is effective. Our clients that use Lofty, and we love generating leads with Lofty in particular because they convert Google PPC traffic so well. That being said, there's a few things we don't love about Lofty, starting with the calling and texting that is available through Lofty. It is very expensive, another one of those providers that operates on a sliding scale, so your bill each month can vary, and the agents we talk to don't like that. especially if you are trying to scale up and generate more leads. That can be a major hurdle. The other big pros of Lofty are going to be the drip campaigns and the automation functions. You are going to be pleasantly surprised with all of the functionality that you have in this particular CRM. Really, the biggest downside is going to be that calling and texting. And if you're the type of person that likes to be able to get in touch with support, if you like to call a human being, talk to them, get your email responded to in 48 hours, then you're not going to find that here, at least not lately. Lofty support is notoriously not one of the better options.
I think if they fixed this problem, they would actually be really good, because they actually have a pretty good software, and we work with some big teams that use them. For whatever reason, they outsource their support to China. So you basically have, which is kind of odd, you basically have this revolving door around the world of time zones. When you submit a request, it's like they're asleep. So then you go to sleep and then they get the request, and there's always a delay. So that's, I think, the biggest complaint. So any advice to Lofty, if they are watching this, is if you can fix your support, we see on our end, that would do wonders for you.
Or create resources for people to do things without contacting your support team. Put together better articles that contractors like us can use to do things ourselves. Lofty is going to come in at the mid-range price range, I would say. There are currently 3 pricing tier plans for Lofty, and the first one starts at $4.99 per month.
Okay, and on top of that, the other big thing, as Haley said, is you're just going to have like a sliding scale depending on how much phone and text usage you have. That can get higher if you're a high volume team. So just something to keep in mind. We have seen some people complain about that. All that being said, what do we give Lofty?
What would you give Lofty?
I'd give Lofty a B.
I agree.
We'll work with them. We have lots of clients that come to us with Lofty or whatnot. I think it's a pretty good software. It's just as a company like ours, sometimes we need support. It's not a problem until you need it. And when you need it, it's a big problem. So if they can fix that, we could bump them up on this list a little bit.
It's true. We have an awesome community of agents. If you're not already a part of our community, you can click the link down below to join. But in that community, a lot of agents leverage us for additional support. And the number one question that is asked in our community support thread is, how do I get Lofty to install my conversion code correctly? And unfortunately, the answer is email them until they get it right. It's even what we have to do. And don't be surprised if it takes a few tries. That is a huge, huge hurdle with this platform. So this is our big ask to Lofty to figure that one out, and we'll all just be so much happier, including you guys.
And to elaborate on that, we have the Agent Launch community you can join. It's $36 a month right now. That might go up by the time you watch this, if you watch this later. And we basically help you build your own advertising campaigns so you kind of own and control those assets. And we have a lot of support elements around that. It's really affordable, and you can get help from us around that stuff. And if you want us to just do all this for you, we do have a more premium program called Omni, and you can book a call with me in the description below if you're interested in that. But part of the first thing we do with clients is always help them through this problem if they are transitioning their software stack, because not all of these programs work well or are friendly with Google Ads, and that's a big part of what we do. So moving on to our Canadian friend, Agent Locator.
Toronto-based Agent Locator. And our rating, I suppose, for Agent Locator is a little bit different, especially if you are from Toronto or the GTA specifically. A lot of our GTA clients have expressed this to us, that the TREB MLS, for whatever reason, does not connect with all of these IDX providers in the same way. Luckily, Agent Locator is Toronto-based, so they have made a very, very specific integration that allows you to search by all of the areas that you want to in Toronto. For example, if you want to target Scarborough or Etobicoke, Mimico, these kind of areas, because of how they're listed in the TREB MLS, you're going to have a bit of a tough time with other website providers. But I can confidently send you to Agent Locator, knowing that they're going to take care of you.
Yeah, and I think the big thing with them is they have the branded site, which is a bit dated in my opinion, and they have the unbranded site, which works quite well. So the cool thing about Agent Locator is the CEO commented on our last video and said they were going to actually work on this. And so I don't actually know where they're at, but maybe if you're watching, can let us know in the comments down below. So look for that comment about combining those two, because I know maybe some older clients that have signed up a while ago may not have that, but maybe it's a new feature. I'd love to see where they're at in that process, because the Toronto Real Estate Board is a bit of a nightmare. I was part of a company in the past that was expanding to there. And I think given that they're local, they also have VOW access where they get access to sold data, which is really important. And they've organized the MLS feed correctly. So most people we work with in Ontario do use Agent Locator. And if we're going to run Google Ads traffic to it, it's important that we run it to the unbranded site, because you just wouldn't want to do it, frankly, any other way. So if they have combined those, I would love to hear.
We've got to give a high ranking for being open to feedback. Well, we wouldn't just give it for that.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
The most affordable option we will talk about today is Agent Locator at $199 a month to start things off. And like Eric said, that does get you, or we'll have to have them confirm as far as the website piece, but that's going to get you everything you need to get started, with the exception of the dialer, which is going to be an additional add-on with Agent Locator. So just something to be aware of. This platform does integrate really, really well with Follow Up Boss. It is an additional cost, of course, they're a business. But if you're interested in using Follow Up Boss as your CRM, I do recommend layering it onto Agent Locator. And of course, we'll talk about Follow Up Boss a little bit more at the end of this video. But what would you rank Agent Locator, Eric?
I don't know. What would you rank Agent Locator, Haley?
I think we can give it a B. How do you feel about a B, even a B plus?
I would be happy to improve that if we can see the old website, which I think is a bit dated, be combined with the unbranded, which I like, actually, to create a cohesive website. Because a lot of like this, we talked to a lot of people about this, is like unbranded websites generate more leads than branded websites, but that's not always the case these days. It's usually what we say is it's the personal real estate brands that don't work as well as the brands in general. So what I mean by that is like, search torontocondos.ca would be like a totally unbranded site. And then there's like, our sales coach, Riley, Brick's real estate team. And then there's like Eric Preston real estate. And so those are the three layers. But I think the Brick's real estate team or the Search Toronto Condos type of websites both perform relatively similarly enough. The benefit from having a brand is that when you call people and you say, hey, I'm from Bricks, they remember maybe they signed up on the Bricks website. There's a little more continuity there. The unbranded technically do work a little better from lead gen, but you have to factor in the conversion process into that. I would love to see an option where they could do the unbranded with like a team brand, for example, which I'm sure you can now, but I know the website is intentionally leaves out a lot of branding. So combining those, I think that's maybe the next step for Agent Locator.
They've got some fees. So if maybe they could create a way for the Follow Up Boss integration and Agent Locator to work together a little bit more harmoniously, that would very much be appreciated, at least by our agents, if you're watching.
Moving on to Ylopo, probably a lot to say about this one, but I'll let you kick that off, Haley.
Yeah, the most important thing to say about Ylopo, and unbelievably the most common misconception about this platform, is that it is a CRM, and it's not. I thought it was really important to include in this list because so many agents will get Ylopo and find out that it is only a website. That is all that Ylopo is, which is why Ylopo and Follow Up Boss are so commonly integrated. You have to integrate Ylopo with another CRM. So we're still including it on this list because it is such a common choice for agents, and the website and the focus on that is something that does appeal to, of course, a lot of users. Their packages are built around providing you leads that are generated to your website and can connect to a CRM, but you have to decide what CRM that's going to be. Are you confused yet? Maybe, maybe not. But something to note with Ylopo and this scenario, while renting leads might seem like a good and fast idea to get going, it is going to lead to a lack of visibility and low control for you. This is another one of those platforms where you're not going to know what ads are running. They are not going to tell you specifically. They're going to show you an overview, but you're not going to know specifically. For some agents, they're okay with that. Others, not their cup of tea. So totally up to you, but it's really something important to know before you go into this and start generating leads with them.
All right. I have a few bones to pick with Ylopo. I think that they're really good at marketing themselves. But when it comes down to the actual deliverable, I haven't heard a lot of positives. Now, there's two things that stand out for me. The first is, as a third-party advertising provider, it would be great to be able to run Google Ads, Facebook ads traffic to a Ylopo site, but they will not allow us to adjust the amount of properties a person must view before they force lead capture them. And it's like they're making the decision for us rather than allowing us to do that. And when a company does this, it's basically saying like, I know what's best for you, therefore I'm not even going to allow you to do it. Whereas I would argue like we actually do know what's best. That's our lane. We do this with a ton of clients, and we want to be able to force lead capture when necessary. We don't always do it per se, but usually we do. So we want to be able to have that control. And the second thing is they're really pushing this whole AI stuff. And I haven't gotten a good feedback around it. I think that why I say they're very good at marketing themselves, in practicality, I see a lot of disappointed people coming from Ylopo because they were marketed something that didn't really deliver. If you go through their website, honestly, like I've learned some things from going through their website and just seeing how they market themselves. But the reality is, I don't think there's a lot to like substantiate that. And I think in the world of AI and automation, we've been going the other direction because I think people crave authenticity and real human connection. When you sell people, hey, you're not gonna have to do much, the AI is gonna do it, the bot's gonna take care of it. It sounds nice, but like at the end of the day, that can only go so far. At the end of the day, I think people really want human connection and authenticity and leveraging things like video and being genuine in the way you approach people rather than rubbing them the wrong way by trying to over automate. And I think that's what happened in 2023. And now I feel a pullback in 2024. I mean, I don't know if Ylopo's really aligned with that.
Totally agree. I mean, Eric, how many times in the last month has somebody told you to check out an AI tool? Or give you their opinion on an AI tool? It happens to me pretty frequently. Yeah,
I get people coming to me all the time to even get in front of our audience and say, hey, I have a tool, like I'd like to explore, blah, blah, blah. And it's one of those things where like AI is great for the right purposes, but it's like in real estate, you know, people are deciding who to work with to sell their biggest asset. They don't want to get talked to by a bot. They don't want some cookie cutter email that someone wrote 2 years ago that's coming to them because they signed up on a site, you know, a year and a half ago. It's about having personalized and high impact relevant information based on now. And that's why we're big on sending weekly newsletters to your entire database with relevant up-to-date information, not long-term drip campaigns so that you can be lazy, which ultimately don't get you where you want to go. Because there's something I call the authenticity gap, which is the lost conversations that you didn't have because someone decided that you're inauthentic. And it happens at mass and at scale when you start automating and using AI too much, where you're sending people these cookie cutter messages and they just unsubscribe. They're like, this is automated. I know that. I can see through that. And so don't fall prey to the authenticity gap. I think that's a very real thing where people are looking for and craving that real human connection. And I don't know if this tool does that.
I mean, I think we can confidently say that once somebody does find a tool that works, everyone's going to know about it. Don't worry, it's going to spread like wildfire. But the reality is that is definitely not the case just yet. At least not for this particular tool. Extra $100 a month to add that one on. Also an extra $100 to add remarketing. They love the add-ons. They also love a $1,500 onboarding fee. Of course, that's one time, but after that, if you want to go with their tech package, that will be $345 per month. More if you decide to add on that AI or the remarketing. If you decide to go with their starter package, then that is going to be $545 per month.
All right, so what are we giving Y to the Ylopo? That C spot's looking pretty empty. Doesn't mean we have to fill it though.
We have to put an asterisk. Of course, we'll not operate without a CRM. We know from agents that we talk to that Ylopo plus Follow-Up Boss is definitely a worthwhile combo. But again, just remember that with this website, you are going to be tied to their lead generation service and their lead generation service only. And you will only get the crumbs of what they decide to share with you as far as what ads are actually running.
Yeah, because they won't equip us with the tools to actually service a Ylopo website. So they kind of keep a little block around it. So for that reason, you get a big fat D.
Add in the dramatic noise.
Anyways, moving on to BoomTown. Boom shakalaka town.
Who names these things?
Exclamation point.
Exclamation point, just like the exclaimed and overwhelming feedback that BoomTown is very expensive and ultimately not very effective. That's the summary on BoomTown.
I was actually just talking to a potential client today who's with BoomTown. The feedback, unfortunately, wasn't very positive, and that was the same thing I got from him as well, who was looking to actually transition to Sierra. Very interesting, but one thing I will preface this by, everyone watching, is that you can take any software or any company and you'll find someone who had a good or bad experience. You probably can't find a company where they only have bad bad experiences, or they just wouldn't exist, frankly. You can pretty much take any one of these companies and you can find people with a good or bad experience. And given that we're on the end of potentially finding people in periods of transition, like if you're watching this video, you're thinking about transitioning, a lot of our clients we work with are in that phase. So take some of it with a grain of salt, what we've heard, but we're going off of some of this with what we've actually done and used ourselves as well. And if we notice big themes, that's what we're here to bring up to you who otherwise may not see those themes. So keep that in mind, as you can always find good or bad experiences. And there are agents out there who just seem to have a bad experience with everyone. And that's, like I said, you have to kind of look at the person giving you the advice as well.
I would say the biggest crux of BoomTown, and it's likely what a lot of our agents are now experiencing, they offer a lot of options to customize your website. And we've said it in other videos, it's the same is true of websites, especially if you want to prioritize online lead generation, simple scales, and fancy fails. So a lot of BoomTown sites do have an aesthetically pleasing element to them. Some of them, in my opinion, just go a little bit too far, but that's just my opinion. The results show us that these customized websites are not as effective as the tested options, and sticking with, of course, what we know. That's something that you are going to find if you go down the BoomTown route. They're going to emphasize that this is a customizable option. That's their job. Like Eric alluded to, there is no perfect software. You can find someone who's had a bad experience and a good experience with every single software on All Works. It's a pretty clunky interface. You will be able to see from some of the screenshots, it's not very updated on the inside. They definitely promote the website as their mainstay. All of it is functional for sure, but if your website's not working, then that's a pretty big caveat. Pricing for this one is going to, again, start at about $1,000 a month. This is a pricey platform. Easy to understand the concepts, but the biggest draw of the system is actually the simplicity of organizing your to-dos. There is a streamlined approach to task management within this CRM, but apart from that, there's not a lot of features that I would say are at the upper echelon, especially considering the ranks of who we're talking about today.
All right, what are we going to rank BoomTown?
The C spot is looking kind of empty, but I mean, I think it also belongs in the D spot.
Before we do this, I will say that I think BoomTown does include some ad spend with that $1,000. I don't know how much, we don't know. So like I said, we don't know everything about these platforms per se, but so some of that $1,000 might get spent on some lead generation. But again, it's probably going to be pretty basic. And that's what we've heard from some clients as well, is that the leads were just kind of scattered all over the place and not super focused. And there's a good way to do lead gen, and there's a half-assed, I'll just say it, way to do lead gen. And there's a big gap between those two. What do you think, Kaylee? A D?
Yeah, we've got a couple others to go through.
We're being ruthless with the Ds this year. This is people have gone down since last year. I don't even remember everywhere we ranked everyone last year, but we've gotten more. I think in a down real estate market, when things are tough, that's when companies need to step up and get better. And I know we're always trying to do that. And it's nice to see some companies like Sierra and others who are actively improving their product. I think that's really, really important, because some of them don't do it until they absolutely have to when they start losing clients. But you should never really want to get to that place, I think. So let's move on to Brivity. I don't know too much about Brivity, so I'll let you take this one away.
Brivity's homepage has a pretty bold claim on it. So I do want to emphasize this. They are the only CRM that guarantees success in real estate. Can you believe it? So they better have something pretty significant under the hood to make such a bold guarantee. I can't in good confidence say that that guarantee is true.
I guarantee you're going to be a 7-figure real estate agent if you use Brivity.
The contrast on that is our client who actually just switched to Real Geeks. That's coming up in a minute here. But his feedback was that if you're a seasoned agent and you want to pay a ridiculous premium to have an all-in-one CRM, Brivity is for you. And if you're an agent that's looking to grow your business or expand your current business, in all caps, stay away. Of course, and Eric's already alluded to it, there's a good and a bad for all of these platforms. There's none of these platforms that are perfect or could be perfect for any one particular person.
However, I do see some Brivity sites that look okay.
The big draw with Brivity and what they're really marketing heavily right now is their built-in tools to do CMAs, or comparative market analysis. They do have a specific system, and there's a proprietary system for ease of putting those together and sending them to your client. clients, and it does connect to the MLS. So if you do CMAs often, or if you find that that's something that you do need, Brivity is a plug and play platform as well. They essentially have a website component, they have a CRM component, they now have this CMA component as well. And then they also have a serviced lead generation element. And you get to pick and choose what of that a la carte menu you would like.
What does Brivity cost?
Brivity starts at $350 per month. There's such a range to how it can be priced because it is like an a la carte menu. Depending on whether you decide to opt for the website with the lead generation add-on, with the CRM add-on, with the CMA add-on, your price is going to be very different than the agent that just opts for the website add-on.
Cool. And just a reminder to everyone watching, if you have anything to add about any of these platforms, please leave them in the comments because we're here to help each other. And this will help other people make decisions because, like I said, we don't know everything. So your input is valued. So where are we going to slap Brivity on this tier list?
I feel like this will be our first one in the C spot. I think that it goes in line with comparative market analysis. It does have some interesting tools. I don't know if the website is their mainstay, but I am excited to see some platforms that are actually making CMAs a priority and helping agents that are doing a volume of those do them faster and in an easier way.
Moving on to our really good friends over at Real Geeks.
They are good over at Real Geeks.
Just look at that logo. Come on. It's the best logo on this list.
How did they come up with that? I would love to know.
A fresh rebrand. I don't know if it was 2024, but a fresh rebrand from Real Geeks for we'll say 2024. It might have been end of 2023, but looking good.
Real Geeks is the perfect example of a really great technology company, and it makes sense if you put it together. I mean, their focus isn't branding, and if anything, maybe this is just another cue and maybe another indicator. They definitely focus on development of the website. Their websites have changed, but they've changed, I would say minimally over the last few years, and they've changed very intentionally. Their latest template, which is called the Anna template, we have a number of clients using it, of course with some small modifications, but these websites are the most consistent tool to generate online leads that arguably we've seen across the industry.
Yeah, and when Haley says minimally changed, I agree. They haven't changed much, but the changes they have made have been intentional. And one of the things with Real Geeks is like most sites, you can customize it to your will, but they're fast and they're lean, as I would say, in terms of their coding and how fast they load. And that's a huge deal for if you're running Google PPC traffic to them. And I remember talking to them and being like, hey, this Anna template, have you tested it for Google PPC in the list view? And they were like, yes. And statistically, it outperformed the old template. And I was like, oh, okay. You guys are making these changes and testing them for advertising. And so they are very intentional about it for that reason. And
anyone that's done testing of landing pages or any online resource knows that it's not about split testing two majorly different things. It's often the marginal tweaks that you make that lead to big impact rather than getting too fancy, trying to recreate the wheel, recreate the best website in the history of real estate. We're not going to find anything unique there. Trust what's working and go with these guys. As Eric said, they're testing and prioritizing the right things, not making huge shifts, but moving very intentionally. I would say that the biggest drawback of Real Geeks and why we see a lot of our agents layer on Follow-Up Boss with Real Geeks is that the CRM is lacking in a few areas. There is no integrated dialer with Real Geeks, so there is not an integrated dialer option. You do have to employ a third party if that's a feature that you want. And the drip campaign and workflow tools are quite limited. You can only automate something in Real Geeks when the lead is coming into your system. You can apply something automatically like a action plan or drip campaign, either or. But what you can't do is automate the application of any sort of workflow after that.
Yeah, so I think that's not been the point of their focus, at least for now. The CRM can be a bit dated at times, but honestly, building a really good CRM is one of the hardest things I could think of building software-wise. Like it's just not easy. And our next tool on this list, we'll talk more about that. But most of our clients pair these two together, Real Geeks and Follow Boss, and that's a really good solution. So we'll close this video out with going through our top recommended like combination solutions together. But Real Geeks, as far as the website goes, is good. And pricing wise, they're $2.99 a month for that website. And they have some upsells for some marketing services and stuff. But at the core, it's a bit of a cheaper option, I would say, than some of these others. And so pairing it with something like Follow Boss brings that price point to be very comparable.
Exactly. So they've got, of course, some other packages, and we've talked a little bit and been very honest about these providers and the structure of how lead generation layers onto that. You might think, why is this company that also does lead generation calling that out? We do lead generation very differently at Agent Launch. We do show you the assets. We do show you your ads. We want you to know where your leads are coming from, whether that is for good or worse for our business. We know it's the best thing for you, the agents, and we want to encourage you to take that proactive approach. Of course, we know it's working and we have our strategies that are laid out, but we will always show you exactly what we're doing and give you that insight.
Yeah, so let's give Real Geeks a B. I think that we love them, and their support is awesome. That's been one amazing thing about them. But I think if you combine it with Follow Boss, it's an A. And that's an important point to make. But what we would love them to do is do a little bit of work on the CRM side, because I think their website has always been really successful. And we've worked with hundreds of people with Real Geek sites. And so you can do a lot of customization. We work with some big teams who work with them. So generally, I'd say they're really good. Pairing them with Follow Boss brings them up to an A.
Which brings us to our final CRM. What a monster list.
Yes, let's talk about Zillow CRM. Follow Up Boss, the $500 million CRM, according to Zillow. So there's no if, ands, or buts about it. Follow Up Boss is the best real estate CRM out there. The only downside is that Zillow now owns it, which some people really don't like. So as soon as this happened, we had a lot of questions about this, especially people looking to get into Follow Up Boss. But I'll send it to you, Haley. Let's talk about the nitty-gritty details of FUB.
I think the only thing that agents hate more than Zillow is spending money. So if I can, so that's how I'll approach this one. I think the mainstay of Follow Up Boss, and something that they have held true to, if you're an agent right now who is working even with some of the other providers we've mentioned, if you're calling a high volume of leads, texting a lot of leads, and you're frustrated that your monthly bill from your CRM is always fluctuating and it doesn't seem like there's any way for you to get control of it, this is your solution. What Follow Up Boss is providing through their dialer add-on, of course you have to have an account to add on a dialer, but what makes it such an interesting option for a third-party dialing solution is that you get unlimited calling and texting. There's no limit. So for $33 a month to add on the dialer, plus the cost of the Follow Up Boss account, you are afforded unlimited calling and texting of an unlimited number of leads. That is, of course, appealing to our agents that are doing a high volume, and should be to anyone who's looking to streamline things.
You know, the platform fee is pretty reasonable at $79 a month, and then you add the $30 whatever for a dialer and a user. I mean, you can scale that up pretty well. It's pretty reasonably priced, I think. Especially for the quality of tool that you're getting. I think the big question in people's minds is like, what's Zillow doing with my data? I do find people in Canada don't really care. People in the US do. That's a theme we've noticed naturally because Zillow just isn't very popular or big or meaningful in Canada.
You're going to get an easy and unlimited calling and texting system, which is worth its weight in gold for some agents. I can't stress that enough. Also, you're going to get a very robust and complete set of drip campaigns and automations, not only for your leads and your clients, but you can apply those automations to transaction management as well. So if you need a full suite and you want to do everything in one place, they have done their best to include lots of different features that allow you to do that. So high rankings in all of those categories. Of course, there's no website that comes with Follow Up Boss. It's just the CRM. So you do have to integrate another website onto it. There is a technical component to that. But if you work with us at Agent Launch, of course, you don't have to worry about that. We take care of all of those technical details of that integration for you.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I've said this from the beginning about real estate brokerage emails. You should never, ever in your life use your brokerage email because you just never know when you're going to change brokerages. And you might love your brokerage today, but honestly, it's one of the most churn and burn businesses out there. And a lot of people will end up moving on at some point. And if everyone only knows how to contact you through your real estate brokerage email, you're going to lose that email and you're going to lose access to a lot of people through that. And I feel the same way about CRMs. The beauty of Follow Up Boss is it integrates with most platforms. So even if you change your website You can take Follow Up Boss with you and you don't have to rebuild your entire CRM. That's one of the beauties of it. It is the best CRM hands down. It is the best tool to manage your business, I think. If you can get over the fact that Zillow owns it, I don't think there's anything fishy going on, but I don't know. And I don't think anyone really does. Is Zillow going to be calling every lead you generate in Follow Up Boss? I doubt it. That would really put that tool in jeopardy for them. Are they planning to build a website on top of it? That I'm interested in knowing. I don't know. And then selling that to agents, I don't know. I do think it is the best tool because it integrates with everything and you can kind of take it with you even if you change websites. So that's my 2 cents on FUB. But where do you want to put this in the tier list, Haley? Does it get an S? Does it get an S?
We've got to give it an S.
All right, FUB, you're going to get the first S in the history of CRM wars. But I mean, if you're one of those people that just can't get around giving Zillow money, it might be a D for you, but that is a subjective rating. Objectively, I would give it an S as a pure real estate CRM. I think it is the best at what it does.
99% of our top producers are using now.
Honestly, we have so many people using FUB and they generally, once they use it and we build it for them so it's correctly set up, generally they don't want to leave because most other tools are inferior. If we had to say there's 3 stacks we recommend for clients that we see all the time, Lofty works, Sierra Interactive works, Real Geeks and Follow Up Boss work. We also see a lot of people pair Follow Up Boss with Agent Locator or other tools. So if you're looking to do some online lead gen, that's what we focus on is Google PPC, Google display retargeting, local and relocation type ads, Facebook retargeting, seller focused stuff to generate you a high volume of leads and pull sellers out of that. And we build the conversion system along with it. Definitely book a call with us down in the comments, or if you want to learn how to do this yourself, you can join our community. It's only $36 a month. And if you have opinions, put them in the comments. We would love to hear from you, and we'll see you guys in CRM Wars 2025.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.